Hello and welcome back to The Fan and the Critic, and welcome to an episode that is 9.5 years in the making, as we have frequently made fun of slash supported the previously made Rogue One movie, but never directly talked about it, and now because of the success and what I assume is our positive feelings towards Andor Season 2, although we haven't actually talked about it, so we'll figure it out on this episode. We are now going to talk about said Andor episode and Rogue One, and maybe a little bit of Andor Season 1. So, yeah, this is that conversation. Just me and Paulo, no guests on today. I guess welcome to the show, Paulo.
Have we really never dedicated time to Rogue One?
I feel like we've had tangents in existing episodes, but we've never had like a proper discussion about it. I probably just disparaged it and not actually said why.
Yeah, so, that's all I remember. But
so maybe let's start there. Let's start with how we feel about Rogue One, because I think we have a difference of opinion. So why don't you go first? 9 years ago, Rogue One came out. How did you feel about it?
It's going to be quick and easy for me to get through mine. So yeah, it's good that I'm going first. When it first came out, I thought Rogue One was awesome. There's minor things, and when you, it's minor things that I feel like you run into with any prequel, or anything that has to fit into a already established timeline. But aside from that, it was great when I first watched it. I rewatch it again periodically, and I did again just for this episode very recently. And I enjoy it just as much every time I watch it. So my attitude has not changed one bit, and I'm really curious to hear how you feel about it now after Andor.
Yeah, so I was on the other end of the spectrum. Definitely did not like it, for a variety of reasons, and maybe I'll get into later in the episode of particularly my new feelings on rewatch, but I would generally say my rewatch did not change my feelings. I still do not like it, but I think I don't like it for new reasons. And I think seeing thinking about not just Andor Season 2 or rewatching Rogue One, but now rewatching Rogue One, having watched the rest of the Disney Star Wars, I think I have a better understanding of why I didn't like it, but it did not change. I still did not like it. I watched it. I was annoyed by a lot. There were some parts I was able to enjoy, which I find whenever I go back and rewatch a bad movie, I don't worry too much about the main plot, and I just kind of pick-pot the things that I think are good. And so there were a couple things that this time around I actually kind of enjoyed a little bit, but maybe we'll save that discussion for a bit later. But I would say I'm still on the fence of did not enjoy and do not enjoy it.
Okay, can I make a prediction as to why, the new reasons, or is that jumping too far ahead?
Yeah, sure. Why don't you make the prediction and then we'll come back to it.
Or I can write it down, and then when you finally say it, I can.
Sure, why not?
I'll tell you if I got it right.
Okay. So that's I guess the baseline on Rogue One. How did you feel about Andor Season 1? Which I don't think we ever really talked about as well.
Yeah, I know that we didn't, which is interesting because I know we've talked about it not on the podcast, outside of it, and I mean we're generally positive. I enjoyed I enjoyed Andor Season 1 quite a bit. I probably more than Season 2, and I'll explain why. But I liked both of them quite a lot. But yeah, Season 1 was really, really good. And you'll hear this a lot when people he prays over Andor, but it's kind of a more, I don't know, it's different Star Wars. And I always read a lot about people saying oh, okay, so this is what Star Wars could be, but it just isn't. So that's I think that's the general consensus, and I'm right there with it.
Yeah, I was really on the fence with season one. Like, I thought it was okay. There was some things about it that I liked. I liked that they took it a little bit more serious than Rogue One did, and like having that separate tone. Um, I really like that Star Wars is going into a direction where they're okay with different properties having different tones. I liked Ahsoka better. That's like for me kind of
You liked
peak.
Ahsoka better?
I really liked Ahsoka. I don't know about. So I'm comparing to Andor season one. I
Hmm.
definitely liked Ahsoka more than Andor season one. Maybe tied on Andor season two.
Oh,
But that type of tone of like what they created in Ahsoka is kind of what I like my Star Wars to be. But
hmm.
I do appreciate that you have the tone of that. You have Andor season two. You have something like Skeleton Crew, which is like super goofy. Which I hated that show. I didn't like it. It's not for me. But it's like that's okay. It's for kids. It's good that
Yeah.
you can have things for kids because that also says, hey, you can have things for adults too. So I'm glad that they have that as opposed to the Disney Star Wars movies, which basically said this needs to be for everybody. And they tried to have something for everybody within the same like 30 minutes, which made it nothing for everybody. Like it made it worse, in my opinion. And so I like that there's tonal consistency within the individual properties. Um,
Okay.
but that said, I
I,
didn't think the execution of Andor season one was particularly good. I think that the little heist storyline, I didn't like it. I think there was a lot of issues. I liked the prison. That was like my favorite part, which I think was a lot of people's favorite.
mhm.
So like for me, that was the thing that saved Andor season one was like the prison episodes.
Well, I mean, yeah, that was definitely the best part of season one. I mean, I like the heist was really good too. Like, I think maybe, I mean, if I really had to nitpick, there was like the pacing could have moved a little faster. Um, but I don't know. It just like just the fact that it was a different view. It like I gave it major kudos for taking probably the most boring character from Rogue One and making him into someone actually interesting and someone that I wanted to watch and cared about. Um, and just showing his development uh, throughout Andor. Um, like it, but I'm still stuck on like on Ahsoka because not to say that I didn't like it, but like because I in I enjoyed it, but I didn't think it was that great, and definitely not as good as Andor. I think my biggest gripe with it was that like there was a lot of I think there was a lot of filler and like maybe um, plot points that didn't really go anywhere, like that masked Sith guy who, just one example, there's a masked Sith guy who like they fought twice and then it just he turned out to be nobody.
Oh yeah, that
Um,
guy.
yeah, and like I just I get that they were like they're developing the search for Ezra, um, and there's like mystery around who these other uh, people are, but it just like took forever. And then by the end, it was like it didn't feel like enough of a payoff to justify the pace. Um,
And this is where I'll definitely be hypocritical, because it's definitely Clone Wars season 11 or season 12 or whatever it is. It's not like a standalone show that's just like, hey, introduce yourself to these characters. It's like you watch Clone Wars, you watch Rebels, and then it's like this is a continuation of that. It's not season one of a new show.
yeah, and it probably even more so Rebels, right? Because it like leans heavily on Sabine and Ezra. And I haven't even watched Rebels. Like I've been meaning to, and the only reason I know who those characters are is because of like the Star Wars phone game that I play, which I should stop playing because it's just a time suck. But um, yeah, like I literally know those characters' names just from that game, and it probably wasn't enough for me to like fully enjoy Ahsoka, and maybe that's why I didn't. Maybe that's why I didn't enjoy it as much as you did.
But I would also say like my favorite parts of the show were, And it was a little on the nose, but they used a lot of mythology, like Greek mythology stuff around, like, especially the names were pulled like straight out of old Greek mythology. And so for me, that was a little on the nose, but I like that content of like the Mortis gods being on that other planet. There's a certain mythology around it and blah, blah, blah. Like the Night Sisters, I'm on board with that. And so that and the former Jedi turned not Sith, but I forget what they call them, but like,
Yeah.
I appreciated those aspects more than the actual like Ezra and Sabine and Ahsoka.
I guess a lot of that shit just went right over my head.
And then my most hypocritical comment is like, there's definitely a season or an episode where they bring Hayden Christensen back. There's Anakin there, and it's just like, hey, if you're a fan of the Clone Wars, like let's show you some live action stuff. And it's like usually I would hate that stuff, but like I love that episode for whatever reason. It won me over.
See, that's an example of one that just like it felt like it was supposed to be like a huge thing. And I get it, it's Hayden Christensen, but it just also wasn't. It just kind of fell flat for me. Like, I mean, sorry, fell flat maybe is too strong because like I enjoyed, like I said, I enjoyed seeing it. It's like, oh, that's cool. It was more of that's what it was. It's just that's cool.
They didn't do a very good job of explaining why that was happening, but I understand it because it's a little bit in Rebels that they introduce it, but there's this point where Ahsoka fights Vader and she figures out that Vader is Anakin. There's this whole kind of storyline around my old master has been lying to me. I didn't know who this person was. Like, can I trust myself? And so it's like her battling her old demons. Like, that's what that whole conversation was. But in the context of the show, it completely comes out of nowhere. Like, they don't explain it. They don't follow up on that. It's just like, here's some nice wrap up for a character of things she's done in the past, not anything to do with this season.
So I can attest to that because I had no idea like that it was that was a thing, and that makes me take more points away from Ahsoka.
And I totally, like, if people say like, hey, I didn't like it for this reason, I'm like, yeah, I get it. Like, it's season 12 of an ongoing series. It's not just something you walk into, and they did not do a very good job of like framing it versus Andor, just to get back to our topic ahead. It's like, it doesn't matter if you watched Rogue One. It doesn't matter if really you were even a fan of A New Hope or the prequels. Like, you can walk into that series, understand these people, they relate it maybe a little too obviously at times to like rebel struggles in our real, like our world. But you can walk in and you can understand those characters and you can like relate to them. So I think it works much better as like a standalone, just as, hey, here's a story we want to tell.
Yeah, no, exactly. I agree with that 100%.
But I think my biggest gripes around season 1 of Andor was, and this is what I really didn't like about the Disney Star Wars movies, is super preachy at times. Where it's like,
is it?
We're gonna save the world because we're nice and we're gonna stand up to evil people. Where literally the last episode of the series is like a woman in a city square on a hologram, just like saying all these things, which was super annoying. But the prison sequence,
that's the rise up and fight moment. Like, but and also I feel like, just to argue that point, I feel like they tried to even that out using Cassian and God, what's his name? Luthen, yeah. And even like Saw and some of the other rebels, like, and this is like going into season 2 a lot more too, but like not all of them are good. Like, they're doing bad things, and sure, that's a little bit on the nose too because Andor just shoots everyone as soon as he sees them. But yeah, it's like that's the point, is that they're not all good, and maybe it's feeding into and like all of their their character arcs to eventually become good, which I thought like Luthen probably doesn't even get there. But yeah, it's like it's balanced.
Yeah, Luthen saved like season 1 for me, and like he was, for me, is the highlight of season 2. He's my favorite character. The one speech that he does where he talks about burning the future for a sunrise he'll never see, like, for me, that's a much better speech than Grandma standing up in a square saying you got to stand up to evil people, because it's like that feels like that's how resistance would actually work. It like everything else feels like somebody doing a campaign ad for a House of representative speech, like they're running for political office or something. Whereas like, here's these rebels who are actually fighting a war. They're doing what they need to do to make the world they want to see. And I
Yeah.
bought into that.
I mean, to support your point, like the Mon Mothma speech at the end of season 2, that I think that is an even worse example of like Andor's mom's speech at the end of season 1, where she's like, "Oh, the gap between truth and
Yeah.
and lies are like it's getting a bit too big. Trump is bad."
And that's so relating back to Rebels. There is a Rebels episode. So you're referring to in Andor season 2, Mon Mothma makes a speech at the Senate, and then Andor helps her escape. There's an episode of Rebels where the beginning of the episode is a ship coming up and saying, we need to offload this valuable thing for the Alliance, and it's Mon Mothma escaping from the Senate. And so it's
cool.
right after, and they show a speech that she made in the Senate in that, and it's a different speech, and it's much better in the cartoon than it is in the live action show that we got. So I was looking forward to that speech because I was like, oh, this is going to be a cool moment. Like I saw this like animated, now I get to do live action. And then it just was like very much fell flat, which is weird.
Yeah, I feel like that whole segment was kind of clumsy or clunky, but we'll get into that. Sorry, I'm jumping ahead.
But I guess season 1, you were both Rogue One and season 1. Fair to say that you were higher opinion than I was, although I did not hate Andor season 1.
Yeah, 100%.
Okay. Jumping into Andor season 2, I loved it. I think it's one of the better TV shows I've watched in recent years. I didn't love every part of it. Maybe the easiest way to talk about it is in the 4 segments that it's presented, which, by the way, I love that format for a TV show. The fact that they did 3 episodes at a time, dumped them all on Disney Plus 3 episodes at a time. That did like 1 year. Next week, it's like next year for another 3 episodes. Like, I love that they broke it out into that. The first 3 episodes definitely fell flat for me. I did not like those ones. That's where he's stealing the TIE fighter. He meets the rebels on the ground. Mon Mothma's having a dance party. Yeah, that part, not the biggest fan of. How did you feel about those ones?
So yeah, like that plus, I mean, and this extends to the other segments as well. But I think one of the biggest issues that I had with season 2 was like the time jumps in between episodes or in between segments. Like I like how they were like contained into like, I don't know, just they were contained into those segments. But like jumping forward like a year or like a few years in between, I just like, I don't know if rushed is the right word, or like they were just trying to fill space so that it would take you right to the beginning of Rogue One. But like I think, and it also could have to do with me just wanting more, because like I feel like you could have put a whole other season in there. But I think the last little gripe that I have is that it made it a little bit harder to follow, with the time jumps. But the first segment I was a little worried, because it was jumping a lot between like him stealing the TIE fighter, him landing with those like terrible rebels, on the planet that turned out to be Yavin, which sure, cool, but that felt like it just got stagnant at that time.
Was that Yavin?
I think the whole idea of like when he flew away and you could see like the temple.
I
think the point.
That.
Yeah. I could be wrong. I'll look it up or someone fact check us on it, but I'm pretty sure he was actually on Yavin at that time, and it was supposed to demonstrate like how far the rebels had come from that point, and then like when he winds up on Yavin again, it's like, I don't know, what, 10 years more?
It's all 4 years.
Oh, it's all 4 years? Okay. Sorry, the timeline just got me. But yeah. So it was like a nice little nod, but it it slowed the story down for me a little bit.
I liked the idea of the segments. I wish they would have leaned into it a little bit more in terms of the actual jump. Because I felt like the first time they did the jump, there felt like there was a reason we had checked in with the characters the first time, and you can see progression. So you can see Bix obviously went through some shit in the first one, and then like you jump to her a year later, she's struggling with drugs, like she can't do this stuff. And so it's like you can infer what happened in between without seeing it. There's like a progression of characters. And then same with the the ISB people, like she had hinted on Gorman and now she's like actually implementing something. So it's like, oh cool, you can see time pass without actually having to go through all those like mundane events. So I like that. But then in the second and third time jump, it felt like nothing actually changed. It was just like they said a year went by and I guess apparently nothing happened in a year. I wish they would have like showed a little bit more change in the characters and kind of how the previous events change them in the future type stuff.
Yeah. I mean, like, really all that demonstrates the time jump is the screen that says 1 year later.
Yeah. But making them self-contained stories, I did enjoy, although, like, again, like that first one with, like, showing the rebels and them being unorganized and all that, like, I just felt like nothing really happened. And so I was sort of excited to start watching, and at that point I was like, oh, maybe I won't watch, like maybe I don't really care. And I'm glad I kept going because the second series is where it started to get interesting in my opinion.
Yeah. Well, I mean, lucky for me, there was never any danger of me not watching. But yeah, it definitely picked up over the next few.
Because the second series would have been them on Gorman mostly. So the introduction, I believe, and I forget his name.
Wait, are we skipping some?
Am I skipping something? So Cyril.
Yeah. Yes. It's the beginning of Gorman.
Yeah. So I think the second series is when he's on Gorman as like a plant and he's like trying to incite the rebels to do something stupid, right? So that's where we learn about the French countrymen who are rebelling, which was a little on the nose for me, but better than like, I think about how they've done, I don't know if you watched Book of Boba Fett, where they had like the motorcycle gang, which was super clumsy. And God. So I will take obvious French allegory over motorcycle gang. I was okay with that.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was more cool than anything just because like they're clearly speaking French while not speaking French.
Yeah.
I thought that was a cool, like, I don't know, a cool detail.
Yeah, I don't know how they whipped up like a new language overnight on that stuff, but yeah, apparently they did have defined the language, I guess.
But yeah, I mean, like it was a little bit. Again, this is like going back to the pace of season 2, because like those 3 episodes are just about like getting things started on Gorman. I mean, you also have like Cyril's and Dedra's relationship, which is hilarious. But yeah, it's like 3 episodes of that where I feel like if you had paced the season better, maybe even like committed to another season after this, you could have really fleshed this out and done more. But I mean, it's a minor gripe for me.
I appreciated all those character moments. Like I didn't mind at all that they were slow. The details about the ISB, I think Partagaz was probably my second favorite character in this series. Just like I've started to quote him at times in my work meetings where he's like, calibrate your enthusiasm.
Yeah.
That's like one of my favorite lines from this whole series. But even just like that little, you make it real, you make that ISB feel like you can see how they're starting to compete against each other, how Dedra's like starting to go rogue and stuff like that. Like I thought that was fun. Like I never really liked Cyril as a character in season 1 or 2. I like that.
Like as a character or as a person though? Because like
probably more as a person. I think his face just annoys me.
Yeah. Because like he's a cool character. I mean, not a cool character, but he was like an interesting character, I feel like.
The idea of his character and the arc that he goes on is interesting. I wish they maybe just had a different actor. He did okay. Like, it's not his fault. It's just his face. I don't know how to explain that any differently.
Just recast him with Timothy Chalamet. And
then I just won't even watch the show. But like his arc at the end, I guess we're getting into the third segment, but like they gave him a little bit of life. I like that it kind of had some development and growth. Again, just the actor that I don't like.
Yeah, I think one extra thing about him that I liked, I mean, like, they went into like the dynamic between him, his mom, and Dedra. I don't know why, but even though it's like it's like one episode, that was really funny to me. And what was the oh my god, forgetting. No, I lost it. What was I saying? I'm going crazy.
While you're thinking, I'll mention one thing I really love about Andor is resisting the temptation to connect to too many different parts of the Star Wars. So a lot of what I saw between the episodes is like, who is Uncle Harlan? Who is Uncle Harlow? Like, is it Luthen? Is Luthen going to be that? Is this character actually going to be that person? And I love that it's just like, no, he's got an uncle. That's it. You don't need to know. It doesn't have to be connected. So I love that ended up not actually being someone that we know.
I agree with that as well. And I remember what I was going to say. I think when Cyril was first like linking up with the Gorman rebels, I don't know if it was just me having to watch the show like on a very low volume because my daughter is sleeping, but I hope this was on purpose and you couldn't really tell for a little bit if he was actually like trying to be helpful or if he was just fully like just being a double agent for the Empire and like gathering information about them. And then it turns out like near the end that he actually does care about them. So that was cool because I always thought, I mean, and this is a credit to his character. Like I just thought that he was the last person that I thought would flip. Which I mean, technically he didn't at the end because he was still trying to kill Cassian. But
yeah, I really wish they didn't have him go out like that. Like that kind of ruined a bit of the arc that they had going for him.
It was a little abrupt.
Yeah.
But it was also like I get what they were trying to do because they're trying to make it tragic. Like this is his whole life's purpose, like from season one. He's finally got the upper hand on Cassian, and Cassian's like, "Who the hell are you?" I mean, it was okay. Like it could have been better a different way, but it was still good how they handled it, I think.
And my understanding of the plan from the ISB was he was never going to betray the rebellion. He really was just trying to help them be violent so that the Empire had something to respond to. So I don't think like it's kind of both. Like you could tell that they were starting to plant that seed of like him being a little bit sympathetic towards them or trying to understand that they're people. But at that point, he didn't even know that what was going to happen.
Yeah.
Which
he was fully
nice.
Being used by Dedra. Yeah. So that's a nice little, yeah.
And I like Dedra as a character too. She got a little cartoony at times, but in general, it felt like an appropriate level of like ambition versus not being evil for the sake of evil, but like believing in like she thinks she's doing the right thing type stuff. So I like that. Again, they never took the characters too far over the top that they became cartoonish.
I guess so. I think Dedra she played it pretty. She played it pretty well to not go overboard. I think the only person that I thought was in danger of that was actually Krennic.
Okay. I was going to bring this up on the Rogue One revisit, but he is so much more toned down than he is in Rogue One, and I actually really appreciated it.
Wait, he's more toned down here than in Andor?
In Rogue One, he's a whiny little bitch. And he's like, oh, please give me an audience with the Emperor. Like, the Emperor likes me, right? And it's like a pathetic character, which is really annoying. And in this one, like, he actually seems intimidating. And everyone refers back to like when he's interrogating Dedra and he like points at her head and all that, which is like a weird thing. But it's like he seems like someone who's genuinely powerful, who's in control and is like, you know, worthy of the station of his position. Whereas in Rogue One, he does not feel like that.
Well, I think that's like during Rogue One, that's where it all starts to unravel for him, because I think this is a good reverse story, character arc, because like you said, in throughout Andor, he's very well respected and feared. He's like clearly driving the project. I saw like some post about um, comparing him to like a project manager at work that you like really hate because he's getting other people to do all this work, and he's like just this big bombastic figure, which he definitely is in Andor, and then he's just taking credit for like work that other people are doing. But yeah, like in Andor, he's that guy, and then as like the rebels are undoing what he's been working so long towards, then he like the whiny little bitch side starts to creep up and build up a little more and more until he finally dies.
Yeah, I guess if you do watch them in order, like, but it does, it just seems like a different character almost, the way that he played it in Rogue One versus in Andor, and I definitely liked the Andor version a little bit better, and maybe that's, as you said, like, it's earlier in the character arc, he's a little more under control, and then he kind of loses it later, but in the context of just Rogue One, they don't give you any of that setup. He's just the whiny little bitch.
I guess that I can see that. I think what the point that I was just trying to make though about Krennic in Andor is that he's kind of he's hamming it up a little bit, and he's clearly having fun. He's caging, he's Nicolas caging, and it was just I enjoyed that very much.
Yeah. I guess I can't think of
Talking
anyone that's like, I wouldn't call him the most cartoonish, but I also can't think of anyone who was more cartoonish than him, so maybe you're right.
Saw.
Uh, yeah, I'm conflicted about Saw. um, so let's talk about Saw. You haven't
Okay.
seen Rebels, right?
I have not. No, I haven't.
But you did see Clone Wars.
I did see Clone Wars, so I know like he's introduced later in Clone Wars, right? Like near the
So
end of the series.
he's introduced in Clone Wars, I think actually early on, but he's just kind of like a reoccurring character. He doesn't
The
show up like
very
too often.
yeah.
And then chronologically, he shows up next in The Bad Batch, which aired after
I
Rebels
still
but was before.
yeah.
And then in Rebels, he's like, it's weird that the character arc he goes on in the series, because he starts super serious, and then in Rebels, he starts to go down like dangerous rebel type stuff where you,
Hmm.
because he has this reputation in Rogue One and in Andor of being like the other side of the rebellion, where he's like, I'm going to do whatever it takes. And I think he
Hmm.
actually kind of earns that with what he does in Rebels and like Bad Batch a little bit. And then he is starting to get a little goofy, which they kind of explain by like he's high on drugs the whole time. Um, I'm okay with it. It's a
Oh,
little
me
too
too.
goofy at times. But Forrest
I mean,
Whitaker plays it really well.
yeah. I like I'll give credit because he's consistent. So like obviously my own my sorry, my only real experience with Saw, like the character, is Forrest Whitaker. So from Rogue One, seeing him there first, like obviously I thought his voice was kind of funny, or the way that he talks. Um, um, but he's the same in Andor, and it, it's even like you said, he's even given a bit of an explanation as to why he is the way he is. So like, sure, he's a little cartoony, um, but it it works for like it works because he's just fully bought in for Forrest Whitaker. I mean,
It's humorous because he's basically like every line of dialogue in Rogue One is like designed to be in a trailer. Like he's not a person talking, he's like trailer dialogue,
yeah, that's true. Actually, yeah,
which
I
is,
didn't.
it's funny, it's very quotable, it's very memeable. Um, I guess it does make sense. Like I won't complain too much about Saw in either the TV show or Rogue One, because like
Mm.
he plays it well, it's fitting for the character, it's fine. It's not my biggest complaint.
Yeah. Well, without him and Krennic and K2SO having fun, you can't just have Cassian brooding and throughout and Bix like having the most depressing go of any Star Wars character of all time. It'd just be too dreary.
I wish there was a little bit more of a payoff for Bix, which you kind of get at the end. I don't know if you did the post-credit scene.
Oh fuck! Was there a post? Wait, did I watch it? Should I even ask you to?
Do you want me to talk about it or no?
Can you give me a hint?
It shows where her life was after she left Andor.
Oh, like where she's on the wheat planet, with the baby.
With the child, yes, that's what I'm referring to.
I was gonna say his son, but you don't know.
We can assume it's his son, and we'll probably connect to like Ryan Gosling or something in the next Star Wars movie.
Oh no, what? I mean, it could be.
This is the part of the Star Wars fandom that I hate, but yeah, everyone's now speculating, like, is it Poe Dameron? Is it going to be... Because Ryan Gosling is going to play, like, a pilot in an upcoming movie, and it's like, is it going to be him, even though he's not the same race or hair color?
You forget, this is Disney, so it will definitely be a girl. And everyone's going to hate it. No, I'm just kidding, kind of not kidding.
But yeah, I do wish they gave her a little bit, like... explain a little bit why she left, or like give her something to do.
I mean, like why she left Cassian?
I guess it's sort of explained, but I guess as you said, like it's just she just has such a rough time of things, and she does get her revenge on the guy, which is nice. But it's like I maybe that's part of the rebel story that they're telling, that it's like it just wears people down, and you sacrifice everything, you don't get anything back. So it's like, yeah.
I mean, I feel like that was pretty well explained. Like it started with that force healer on Yavin.
I really hated that character, by the way.
I mean, it's like they just couldn't resist like having some force in the Star Wars series, which I mean I understand. It didn't bother me too much. It was a little out of place, I think, but I think it was used as a plot device, really, which I appreciate. I guess they didn't go full force, but that's how they set up Bix. Like, she's probably like, after going through everything that she'd been through, she like gets spiritual, I guess, and she starts believing in like, you know, she's that girl that's into crystals now and like the good energy. Mm-hmm. So she's like telling Cassian, "Oh, like look, you have a purpose now. Like you belong here. You're a good rebel. You should be doing this." And then the whole explanation, I guess, from her was like, if I stay, you're gonna want to leave, and like with me, but they need you, and like the galaxy needs you more than like we should be together. So like that's why she up and took off. I mean, it was enough.
Yeah. I think I was annoyed by the force healer too much to maybe catch some of that. I think Tony Gilroy was mentioning that like part of what was spooking Cassian is that through the force healer he was starting to sense his own death in the future. And
he said that.
He said that, or I don't know if it was the director, but like somebody in the production or the writers like said that like that's what was supposed to be going on there, which I thought was just stupid. Although I was really happy that when they talked about a force healer, I was for sure thought that they were going to bring out Barriss Offee, who I don't know if you've seen Tales of the Sith,
no.
But she is one of the Jedi Masters that you see in the prequel trilogies is Luminara Undula. I forget her last name.
Aren't they two separate?
They're two separate characters, but they're master and apprentice. So
okay.
In the Clone Wars, Barriss Offee turns evil and attacks Anakin. She becomes one of the what do you call it? The people who hunt down Jedi after the Order 66.
Inquisitors?
Inquisitors. She becomes an Inquisitor.
Oh,
and then she
cool.
betrays them, and then she becomes like a force healer. So they talked force healer, and I was like, oh my god, you're going to drag her out, aren't you? And they didn't do that. They had like some random lady. So I was like, okay, at least you didn't try to bring that up. But anyway, yeah, that was one of the things I really liked about Andor is in general, they stayed away from the Jedi and the Force and all that stuff. And so I appreciated that. But yes, as you said, they could not help themselves. They needed to have something.
Yeah. And you just can't get out of your own way. It's like having Luke in Mandalorian.
Yeah. We didn't even get into that. That annoys me so much.
But yeah, see, and that's like, again, I'm this. I'll try and make this the last time I bring it up, but like, just like having this quote unquote grounded, like it's all just people, like no Jedis, no force sensitive, mostly no force sensitive people, just kind of struggling to like defeat the Empire, or at least like do what they can with the rebellion, with what they have, which is like nothing really. I just would have loved to like even just one more season of it. So that's like my biggest complaint about the time jumps again.
The other thing I'll say, in addition to it, them feeling like realistic people as rebels, I also felt like the Empire felt like a realistic fascist government. Like the way that they were trying to not just like invade Gorman, but like get the public opinion on the side, like plant the seeds over many years, like try to do this stuff. The way that they tried to shut down like Mon Mothma's speech, and like having like just the people within the organization, like I thought that felt appropriately reined in to the fact that like you could believe that this is how a fascist government exists and operates. It wasn't too goofy. I'm really glad they never brought out the Emperor, because that just would not have fit the aesthetic at all.
I think I actually would have enjoyed if they did, but it probably is better for the series and the ratings that they didn't.
He comes out in like random episodes of The Bad Batch or like Rebels, and it's just like it really shatters the illusion that everyone thinks that this guy is just a random guy who's they're not an evil dictator.
Well, yeah, and it's funny if you like think about how he's supposed to look at this point, because he's just like this melted, like clearly evil, like gremlin, who like just even the way he speaks, how he looks, his eyes are like fucking yellow.
They really need to have like an in between who is like, this is who the people think is in charge, like a prime minister or something.
Yeah, like governor general, the figurehead. But yeah, that's why I think it just like it would have been hilarious if he like came out and like, hello, let's talk about my energy plan. Yeah, it's where sorry, I got carried away thinking about the Emperor. Where even are we?
So one of the episodes I was going to talk about that I really enjoyed, which kind of alludes into things that aren't connected at all with the story, but I still enjoy, is the and I forget their names, but Luthen and his fake daughter, where they go into Clea and the history of how they met, what they've been doing, because like you know them the whole series and even in season 1, but you don't really know their background. So to dive into their background, and then you have this whole thing about how she has to go kill Luthen to basically make sure that they don't torture him and find out all the information. I thought that was great. It was like one of my favorite episodes, so I guess appreciated that. And then I felt like everything after that was super rushed in like wrapping it up leading into Rogue One. But yeah, for me, the Gorman piece was like, the Gorman piece and that one episode is for me like what made the whole season good.
Yeah, I mean, and going back to Clea, she was probably one of my favorite characters. More so in season 2, obviously, because like she didn't really get to do much in season 1. I mean, she's there, she's still cool, but like she really steps up in season 2, and then this like this goes into kind of one of my issues, like one of my minor gripes around like doing something like this when there's like an established timeline and there's established characters that happen, things that happen after, because like obviously she's not in Rogue One. And lots of people aren't in Rogue One that have like a huge part to play, which sure you can't go backwards, but it I don't know if I guess it doesn't take me out of it, but then I always just think about like these people should be there.
It's less weird with Rogue One, and I get why it would be this way, but it's funnier when you think about the end of A New Hope, because you have them like walking down and giving a medal to Luke and Han, who are like people who showed up a couple days ago. And like in that audience, like Clea's probably there, and Mon Mothma's cousin is probably there. I hate that people have also said like, oh, Mon Mothma's sister is this character who's in Rise of Skywalker, because there's like a older woman in Rise of Skywalker and the Rebellion who is also a lesbian, and they're like, oh, it's the same character. She just changed her name, and it's like, no, that's not interesting. Please don't do that.
You don't connect everyone.
But it's just funny to think about like those people sitting in the crowd cheering Luke on as they give him a medal.
Yeah. Imagine if he was there, he's like missing half his body. He's giving all this to the Rebellion. How did you, I was curious how you felt about well, you already mentioned it's kind of rushed, but then like as we're getting to the end of season 2, you start seeing like K2SO. You hear the guy, like one of the spies. Oh, Melshi. I mean, but he's in season 1. But yeah, Melshi is a good example. And then like the pilot that Cassian meets at the beginning of Rogue One, they start like saying his name over and over.
Because it had been 9 years since I watched Rogue One, there's a lot of that stuff that I didn't remember. And it was very obvious that they were alluding to an event that was in Rogue One that I didn't remember. And that's what I felt like. It was really rushed. Like, it felt like the whole last episode was just the segue between Andor Season 2 and Rogue One. And I would have rather they just conclude all the stories that they did in Andor Season 2, which they kind of didn't. It was just like, hey, here's some events that happened, and now we're going on to Rogue One. So I didn't really like that, and all the music that they had in the last episode, it felt super rushed. But K2SO, I definitely loved. If not for anything else, the one scene where he picks up the ISB agent and like uses him as a body shield. Yeah. I don't know if you heard this, but
he didn't need to.
Still wonderful. There was apparently like one of the early concepts was that they were going to have an episode that was basically like the movie Alien, where they're stuck on a ship with K2SO and he's like out trying to kill them all before they reprogram him, which I thought would have been a fun episode, and I wish they didn't cut that. It was super clunky how K2SO came to exist, because they're like running out of Gorman, and then he's like, oh, let me just take this robot with me. Like, why are you stopping and taking a robot? But him actually being part of the team, I thought was okay.
Yeah, it was good. I mean, like, aside from K2SO just kind of being like plot armor for everyone else, like he's a huge excuse for them to get out of situations alive. He is enjoyable to see, and I do agree. Again, going back to, I'll say it one last time, like add another season, you can have that episode with K2SO as like it. You don't have to rush Cassian taking K2SO out of an active genocide. But yeah, that's
I'm okay with it. It does beg the question of like, where do you go from here in that timeline of between Revenge of the Sith and A New Hope? Because you now have Bad Batch, you have Rebels, you have this show. It's like there's so many events that are already defined in that timeline. Can you do any more, really? And there's one more that I really hope they do, which is the conclusion of the clones, because there's a gap between where you see them in Bad Batch and where they show up in Rebels, of just like what happened to them. Like there's like a clone rebellion going on. So I hope they can squeeze in like one episode of that just to answer some questions on like what happened to a couple clones who you never see ever again. But they're really running out of space. Like there's not a whole lot more you can do before you start running into a lot of other stories.
True, I guess. They will. They are going to do it. But what do you think is like the over under in years before they start adding into that space?
I mean, they got to keep going. They will. I don't know. Like, I think that's why they really wanted to get Acolyte to work, because it's a lot better if you start building in the future before the Phantom Menace. There's a lot more space, a lot more characters that you can connect to and stuff that you can do. I just feel like that 19-year period is very full. I'm like, you can obviously always have like some random thing happening at some other side of the universe. You could do like actually, I think they already did this where it was like Tales of Coruscant or Tales of the Underworld, where they were talking about stuff that was going on Coruscant at that time too, like in the underworld, the bounty hunters and all that. So it's like there is a couple things you could do. They're obviously going to do it because that's the most popular timeline for them. The thing that concerns me more is like, how long do you go before they decide they just need to remake the original trilogy?
That was going to be my other question, like the over-under in years before they start remaking those movies.
I feel like it's got to happen at some point. Like, you can tell the story, but like, maybe not from Luke's perspective. Maybe it's like someone else, what the rebellion was doing during that same timeline. You have like a few years between each of the original trilogy movies, so it's like you could squeeze some other stuff in. I feel like it'll happen at some point.
Yeah. And we'll watch it.
Yeah, unfortunately, I will.
I mean, we might be too far from this, but I think one other thing that always bothered me, and I don't know if I just missed something, but Cassian's sister still was never brought back up.
Which I'm very glad they didn't, because everyone was speculating about like, oh, Dedra is going to be Cassian's sister, and it's like, no.
Or Clea.
It's a reason why he got involved. You don't need to explain it. It's better if you don't.
Well, I mean, you can't explain it without having it be one of the established characters. Like she could pop up. Like you can tie that up somehow. I think I was just confused. Maybe it's just me, but I was expecting it to come up at some point. I think it was also largely because, and I don't remember if this was just a mistake, but all those scenes when he's like a little boy, like all those little kids in season 1, there's no subtitles, right? Like you're not supposed to know what they're saying.
I can't remember, but that sounds right.
Okay. That was also like a very strange choice, I think, because those scenes were long and they were talking a lot, and I just had no idea what was going on. And I thought there would be some sort of explanation afterwards, after 2 seasons. But
one of my favorite things that Star Wars has done that they immediately bailed on in the next movie is when, in The Last Jedi, Kylo Ren says to Rey, like, your parents are losers. They're just drunks who gave you up. And it's like, that's great. You're a nobody. Yeah. That's much more interesting if you're a nobody, because like more of us can relate to that as opposed to being like the granddaughter of an emperor. And so I hate that they bailed on that. And it's just like, yeah, sometimes you just have things that don't get resolved, that don't get explained. And I think it's much better as just, hey, that's how you got into the Empire, and it never got resolved, and you died without figuring out what happened. And that's it. I think that's fine.
I guess, yeah. I mean, to be clear, again, she didn't have to be like Clea or someone like that. Like, you could have like stumbled on her grave or something. Look, that's terrible. But just, I don't know. I feel like there was like a unresolved plot point.
But I also think it's like, if Cassian is basically all wrapped up, everything is resolved in his life, and then he goes to Rogue One and dies, then it's like, okay, he did his part. Whereas if he has a bunch of stuff that it's like, you should have kept going as a rebel, you had all these other things in your life that you wanted to learn, you wanted to pursue, and you didn't get to do that because you sacrificed yourself to get the plans for the Death Star. Again, I think that's just more interesting.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I can't really apply that to his sister, though, because he doesn't even mention her again.
Fair, yeah.
But, okay. The other thing that I wanted to talk about, I mean, it kind of goes again into like difficulties with prequels, but like some of the ships, like the U-wing, the one that they use as like landing craft, or the one that Cassian takes everywhere, like that's never seen again. Obviously, I guess the excuse is that they were all used in Rogue One on Scarif, and they all just got destroyed. I mean, I'm not really going anywhere with this, but it's one small gripe. Like, and also there's those like weird looking TIE fighters in Rogue One that you only see on Scarif. It's like with the wings on the top.
I
Do you
don't
remember
know
what?
those.
No, okay, whatever. Clearly not a big deal, but that kind of just sticks in my brain all the time.
Yeah, and that's the weird thing. I think that's what you're getting out of like doing a prequel, because like everyone expects a different ship or a different new thing, but then you never see it again.
Yeah.
They have a lot of prototype TIE fighters in the Rebel series. And so that like there's a bunch of them are out there, and then it's like, oh, I guess all of them failed by the time the original trilogy started, because we only see regular TIE fighters.
Cassian stole them all.
I guess.
Yeah.
Any last points on Andor season 2 before we jump into our rewatch of Rogue One, which I think we've alluded to a little bit?
Well, I mean, I guess we could talk about this in Rogue One, but I was surprised that we never even see a Bothan in Andor ever, or Rogue One.
But they're not related to the Death Star 1.
Wait, what?
This is like, I've seen so many people get upset about this online. Many Bothans sacrificed themselves to get the plans for the second Death Star. They have nothing to do with the first Death Star.
Aren't they the same? So, okay. Number one, I don't care that much. Number two, I thought, or I read somewhere, and maybe this is just the internet screwing me, but I thought that the second Death Star was already being built. Like, it wasn't a response to the first one blowing up. It was like almost there was overlap. So like it's essentially the same thing. Was it? It wasn't like bigger or better or anything, was it?
It was bigger.
Okay. Whatever.
I mean, it makes sense that they were basically working on the Death Star 1 for 20 years. And so could they have really cooked up the Death Star 2 in like a couple years after? Like, it would make sense if they had started on that ahead of time. I haven't heard that before.
Okay, I need to get off the internet.
But it's definitely like, it's in Return of the Jedi that Mon Mothma says many Bothans died to give us this intel. It's not in reference to the events of Rogue One.
Okay. So Rogue 2.
Rogue 2.
In 5 years, we're going to get the story of the Bothans stealing the plans to Death Star 2.
Probably will, yeah.
Okay. I can leave it there for Andor. I think.
So I have prepared a list of things that I did not like about Rogue One. I learned, I think, again, I don't like the movie. I didn't like it then. I don't like it now. I think maybe I have different reasons for not liking it. The things that I really didn't like on the first viewings were the constant references that had nothing to do with what was going on in the story. C-3PO and R2-D2, Ponda Babu. I think there's a few others where it's just like, the fact that they have AT-ATs on Scarif, like, even though that's completely not the type of weapon you would use for a B-trade.
That's barely one. They're hauling cargo.
They are, anyway, just things that should not be in that story that are there because we're making a Star Wars movie. That annoyed me a lot less on the second time around, maybe because I knew it was there, but it was a lot quicker, and it was kind of, I could just ignore it. But that's not the reason I didn't like it. Number one on my list, and I've referenced this a couple times, but trailer dialogue instead of real dialogue.
Okay. That's number one.
It's right up there, especially Jin. Not even so much from Saw, but like Jin, basically everything she says is meant to be like in that. And then a close is like speeches and inspiration stuff, like when Cassian and like the rest of the rebels like seemingly like Jin's about to like go on the U-wing and fly off to Scarif by herself, and then they come up and have a nice little like inspirational speech like, we've done horrible things for the Empire, now we want to do something good, blah blah blah. It's just things that did not fit with the characters. That really annoyed me a few times that happened. Number 3
Okay.
is the music.
What?
The music, I understand that music is there to manipulate your emotions to make you feel something, but you shouldn't recognize it. It should be in the background and kind of like impacting your emotions without you noticing, but it always felt like it was turned to like 120% of the emotion that it should have been, where almost every scene I was like, you're overselling this. You're overhyping like the emotion that I'm supposed to be feeling right now to make it feel more grand than it's supposed to be, and it annoyed the heck out of me by like a quarter of the way through the movie.
The music was a positive for me, like a clear positive.
Number 4, location jumping. The first like 5 scenes happen on 5 different planets in like 2 minutes.
Okay.
I had that same complaint about the Warcraft movie, where they jumped in and it's like,
oh my god,
here's 30 seconds on this planet and here's 30 seconds on like another planet with another character, and it's like, I get you're trying to like establish something, but it's just like really jarring. Where I think about the opposite way of doing that is something like The Lord of the Rings, which I know The Lord of the Rings has a little bit of a dialogue at the beginning, but you spend like a solid 30 minutes in the Shire getting to know your characters before you take them to the fantastical world. I hate when you try to like introduce the whole world and then expect me to care about it, even though you haven't given me anything to care about. So there's that. Okay. Number 5, or I don't know which one I'm on, the Force. Donnie Yen's character referencing the Force, super annoying. No reason for that to be in that story, which I think they learned.
Because it's cool. It's because it's cool.
Whatever. They definitely learned in Andor, regardless of the Force healer, is that like stay away from that stuff. Like keep it grounded, keep it real. Like, why does Jyn have a kyber crystal around her neck? It's just kind of weird. But it's just like, it was forced in and it really shouldn't have been. Even the fact that like rebellions tell people like, may the Force be with you, like why are they saying that?
Wait, the kyber crystal tracks though, because one, her father works on the Death Star. Like, it stands to reason that he wouldn't have a spare not working kyber crystal to give to his daughter as a plaything.
Sure, whatever. Number 6, CGI faces. I know everyone complained about that when we first saw the movie, but after 9 years, that really does not age well. Particularly Tarkin. I don't mind Leia at the end, because it's like whatever, it's the end. But Tarkin is so jarring. It's so weird.
I thought Leia was worse than Tarkin.
Oh, he's definitely worse, but I don't mind it because it's at the end of the movie and it's you're not disrupting anything. Whereas Tarkin is supposed to be a real character that's part of the story. And it's like, whenever those scenes are happening, like I'm just distracted because I'm looking at his face instead of listening to what he's saying.
I mean, I guess like there's a bit of that for me. I mean, I'll address all your points one by one, but this one we can actually go back and forth about. Tarkin, yeah, I get that because like I do kind of stare at his face when I'm watching the movie, but I mean it doesn't take me out of it. But whereas Leia, I get that she's only a tiny part, but even from the moment that the door opens and you see her standing there, I like, for someone who loves this movie, I was like, oh no, like don't do it. And then she turns around and she looks worse than I thought she was going to. I mean, not that, yeah, it's like that one hurt.
It's really bad, I agree. I just, again, didn't mind it because it was after the story was done. So it wasn't like disrupting the story. It was basically just, you get a nice little chuckle before the credits roll.
I think the big takeaway is that you value story a lot more than I do.
That's what a movie is for. It's about to tell a story. And I feel like, and so to wrap this all up, I think one of my biggest issues with Rogue One was me starting to understand what Disney was doing with Star Wars. Because if you think back at that time, we have like 2015 was The Force Awakens. First time that we had seen a new Star Wars movies in 10 years, which, by the way, is the same amount of time has passed since then, since like the movies before. Anyway, I thought it was more than 10 years, but yeah. Force Awakens was an okay movie. I think we didn't complain because it had a lot of good stuff, it had a lot of good characters and acting, but there was certainly times during watching Force Awakens where I was like, what the hell are you doing? Like the tonal shifts were really weird, but I wasn't too complaining. And I think when I got into Rogue One, that was the second movie in a row where like, oh, this is what Disney Star Wars is going to be. And I think I started to get really annoyed by it. And then Last Jedi and Solo and Rise of Skywalker came, and it was like, oh, this is the tone that you want to have for this series. And that really annoyed me. And I think what I really didn't like about Rogue One was really me just realizing what that was going to be. And it wasn't as bad as the other ones. Like Last Jedi and Rise of Skywalker took it so much further, but it was just, there was something off about it. And I can't quite explain it. I'm getting nitpicky on all these different items, but I think like that's what it really was for me, was the tone.
That one's more around like just how you perceive it and like what you want to see or like what you are seeing and how you don't like it. So I understand that. Like I don't blame you for that one. I think number one, it's interesting, and I did not guess that one at all. My prediction was wrong, by the way.
What was your prediction? I forget.
It was just mostly around like wasted potential, because like, oh, it was going to be this quote unquote dark, like grounded Star Wars. Rogue One was going to be that, right? Like, and it was going to be like a gritty war movie. And it wasn't that. And Andor showed that like you can do it, or like do a spy thriller series. So like, what the hell was Rogue One? I thought that's what it was going to be.
I think there's probably some of that. I don't think that's incorrect. Okay. There's a little bit of that Andor did show that you could do it correct.
Yeah.
But I think that I always knew that you could do it correct, even when I watched Rogue One for the first time. And so the fact that they chose to do it poorly always annoyed me, because I wanted it to be a good gritty war movie, and it never was.
They chose poorly. Okay. Let's go through your list. What was number one again?
I forget which order I did this in. Trailer dialogue and speeches and inspirational stuff.
Was that number one? I thought there was like a...
No, I did that as number... Yeah, 1 and 2 was trailer dialogue and the random speeches, the group speeches.
Okay, trailer dialogue, I'm actually not going to argue that. Because, I mean, the only thing... to maybe like a good third of these, I'll just chalk it up to, yes, that is a thing, and I don't care. Like, I don't care enough to make me not like the movie. Like, there's more that I enjoyed to make those things, to have those things ruin it for me.
What's funny about the trailer dialogue piece is that there was even more trailer dialogue that they put in the trailer and cut out of the movie. I kind of like, I'd have to go back and watch the trailers, but I do remember there was a bunch of stuff in the trailers that never actually made the movie.
Yeah, or it's like different takes of like the same scene where they were like trying out different lines, I guess, or like ad-libbing.
Where she says, "I rebel." I remember that.
Oh yeah, that one. Actually, that one bothers me because it just sounds dumb. And then the other one that I always think of is when she's like walking on the comms tower, and then there's like a TIE fighter that like that one. I was actually like watching the movie waiting for that to happen. So that stuff, yeah, sure, fine. 1 point to you, I guess. What was the next one? I'm waiting until we get to the music.
I think music was.
That was number 2.
That was 3.
Yeah. What was number 2?
The speeches, the group speeches.
The speeches.
1 and 2 are kind of the same.
The only thing I'll say about the speeches is like using Cassian's speech that you referenced. Like I think it didn't really hit. Like it made sense. Like especially after seeing Andor. Like okay, I can see that. Yes, It's not a case of what's an example of someone who comes back to help for no reason. I know we've talked about some before in like movies.
Well, I guess typically Han Solo is kind of that in A New Hope at the end.
Oh, I guess there's no foreshadowing into like to him coming back and helping out. No, there's like a wistful look as he's leaving, and Luke being mean to him. There's one we've talked about on the podcast before. Rebel Moon, maybe.
I mean, if we're talking about bad movie execution, it's probably in Rebel Moon.
Okay. Oh yeah, it's like the whatever. Not important. But yes, I think there's enough in Rogue One, and even more if you start to incorporate Andor. That like, okay, Cassian and his friends obviously want to help after all they've been through. I think, like I said, the only gripe I have with his speech is that it just like it's that Marva moment, right? Like on the big hologram lady in Andor, where she like riles up the people. I would have liked something like that. And that's one of the reasons why in Rogue One, my perception of like Cassian was like, he's kind of boring. Because he doesn't really inspire anything. So yeah, the speech is fine. Jin's speech on the ship, like right before they like leap into their, or like right before they get to Scarif. Again, it doesn't really, I don't really feel a whole lot. But with what they're doing and like what happens, I get that feeling. And it goes back to the whole like ultimate sacrifice, like they know it's a doomed mission and they're doing it anyway. That kind of stuff like resonates with me. And I think it was done well enough that I look past the speeches. It's like, show me, don't tell me a little bit. So
yeah, like for me, it bothered me enough like that. I just like takes me out of that moment that it's like, okay, we got a cool moment. We got a cool moment we're building. For some reason, R2-D2 and C-3PO show up in that moment. And then it's like, oh, and then we're going to have a weird speech that takes us out of it. And so you go from a point where it's like, I'm on board. This sounds like exciting. And then it's completely de-escalated. And like, for me, those scenes bother me because they really took the wind out of the sails of where the plot was otherwise going.
Mm-hmm. I'll even add one to your list, actually. And I know I'm supposed to be supporting Rogue One. But like on that note, or I think Jin is not particularly likable throughout the whole movie. And what's the actress's name?
I can't remember.
Yeah. Whatever. Wait, it's easy enough to look it up. Felicity Jones.
Yes.
I don't know if I'm not a fan of her. But like she just kind of, I don't know. It's just not. She kind of comes across as like whiny, but I guess like Luke does too in A New Hope.
I wish she came off as like, she's kind of cast as reluctant hero, but she ends up taking on more of like an inspirational role that I think her character shouldn't have. Like I wish that she was kind of there against her will and kind of just helping out because she gets caught up into it. Like, especially when you think about after watching Andor, like everything that Cassian did and everything that Mon Mothma did and Radis and all them. And it's like, why is Jin taking the leading role when it comes to like some of these scenes? Like she really shouldn't be. And I feel like they forced it a little bit too much. Whereas like if they had her a little bit more as an anti-hero, I think I'd be okay with how she acted it.
Yeah, I think I agree with that. Like, it's not that I didn't want her to be the main character. Like, I'm totally fine with her as the main character, but I guess it's just the way that they played it that didn't really make me a fan. That's when I start looking to like Donnie Yen, like the Baze Malbus guy for like, oh, this is cool. I'm gonna look at this now. But okay. It's fine. The next one was the music, right?
Yes.
So I didn't feel like the music was overbearing in any way, and this might come down to preference, but like I think the big points that I gave to the music was it's obviously it's not John Williams, number one, but I'll compare it to, there's this band that I like. It's like a female rock band called Haim, and I promise I'm going somewhere with this. They released an album. Like I like all their music, which is unique for me. They released their last album like a really long time ago, like years ago, and then they just released new music like this past month. It was within the last couple months. And one good thing that they really do is they have the same sound without it being repetitive. It's just like it's clearly them, but it's still good. It's like you want more of them, and you get that, but it's different enough. So I like whoever did the music to Rogue One. I looked it up earlier, but I can't remember his name. Again, it's not John Williams, but it's like it's adjacent to John Williams's Star Wars score, I think, enough that it's like it fits the bill. It's not exactly the same. It's not too different, and it sounds good. And the way that it's supposed to make you feel, like where you felt like it was hitting you over the head too much, I thought it was just right.
I understand the words that are coming out of your mouth, but I don't understand what you're saying. That's completely different experience to what I had listening. Like, some of the scenes in Rogue One, I almost felt like, I'm sure there's an example of this somewhere, but I'm imagining like a comedy skit where somebody is making a peanut butter sandwich in their kitchen, and meanwhile there's like intense action music to be like dun, 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 and it's like the thing that's happening is not that exciting, is what I felt like most of the time for the first like 30 minutes of the movie. Once you get into the action scenes later in the movie, like I'm not fussed about that music, but it's mostly in like the early points of the movie where they're trying to like bring you into the atmosphere.
Yeah, I don't like. That's not my
I
experience
think
at all.
we'll
It's
have
so
to
funny.
agree to disagree on that one.
Yeah, but like the funny thing is that I'm really trying to think back to like the beginning of the movie if music is playing throughout, and like I'm comparing it to like my wife said this about when we watched Oppenheimer in the theater. She mentioned like music was playing the entire time, and I didn't even realize it. So maybe it's just me. Like I'm like, I just I think I put the music so much into the experience of the movie that it doesn't like I can't separate it. It just is, and that's why I enjoy it so much.
And that's like typically that's exactly how I would like my music to be, where it's like you don't even realize that it's there. You just feel what it wants you to feel.
Mm-hmm.
But it got to the point where I was noticing it, where I was like, this is not quite right. I don't know how to explain that. I wish I had like specific scenes. I didn't think we were going to be talking this much about music, but
I think the hate is just flowing through you.
That's fair.
And the next one was the cameos, right?
The location jumping.
Location jumping.
Which is like a minor one.
Yeah, I mean, you can't use the example of like Lord of the Rings in the Shire and spending 30 minutes, but like Lord of the Rings is also like 6 hours long. And this is not that movie. You got to keep it moving. The whole point is to get to the Battle of Scarif.
Sure, but if you just have the beginning of the movie be with Jin as a child on the planet with Galen, maybe a little bit of a flashback to Galen, like reference to him being on the Empire before, and just not be jumping around like crazy, I would be okay with that. Like, spend a little bit of time helping us care about the character, because by the time you meet Jin on like the prison breakout, you don't really care about her. There's nothing for you to be established to care about what her fate is.
Mm-hmm. I mean, yeah, I guess I see a little bit of that, but I think that also goes back to the issue that I had with the way that her character was played. I think that's more of I put the onus on that a little bit more. Sure, there's not really a lot of development, but also like because at the same time they're setting up Cassian, right? Like meeting the pilot, the other pilot, what's it, Bodhi, meeting Saw. So like, and I think this conflicts with like we always make this complaint about Star Wars, like there's so many planets, why do we keep going back to Tatooine? Or like I don't feel like it matters that much that it's on a different planet. It's like in a regular movie, in a non-space movie, like you'll have lots of scenes back to back to back in different cities or different buildings. I guess like things jump around. It's just in this example, it's a huge galaxy.
Sure. And I guess to define my critique a little bit more, it's specifically the first 5 minutes of the movie where it's not
Right.
taking time to establish the characters and to establish a story. It's just like,
Yeah.
this is happening, and this is happening, and this is happening, and this is happening, and now we're going to start our story. It's like, I want them to give me something to care about first that I'm invested in. And like, yeah, the fact that they jump to like go to different planets after that, like, I'm not fussed by that. It's more just like very specifically how the movie starts.
Yeah. Okay, that's fair. I think for me, like I give that a bit of a pass because by the end, and I think it's part of the journey. By the end, I'm invested, and probably also has to do with it being the Battle of Scarif, which I feel like is awesome. But it's also like I'm fully on board with like this is what they're trying to do. They all care about it. Like each of them has a part to play. I'm sure that could be argued, but
I will
like
say that on my second viewing, the Battle of Scarif I enjoyed more. Because the first time I was so upset at the movie that I think I was completely out of it and I didn't even want anything to do with it. Whereas this time around, like, again, I didn't care that there was all this stuff I didn't like. I could actually just watch the space scenes for what they were. It's not like my favorite action scene ever, but it's okay. It's watchable for sure.
Okay, how about ranking Star Wars space battles? Where do you put the Battle of Scarif?
Okay, so number 1 would be the start of episode 3. The Battle is Coruscant.
Oh, that was good.
I'm just trying to think about what the other ones are, because like A New Hope would probably be second because it is grounded. It's very like relatable of a character going into space for the first time. Like you followed them up, and like it is weird. And so that was one of the other minor complaints I was going to have about Andor is this is like a few years before the Battle of Yavin. And they have like auto-targeting computers, and meanwhile like a couple of years later we have Darth Vader like twisting nozzles to like target. Anyway, that was super like weird and funny. But yeah, I would probably put A New Hope as number 2. Return of the Jedi I don't think particularly is interesting, so I'd put it down. And then there's Scarif. What would be the other ones, I guess?
I mean, we can include Hoth because like it doesn't really have a space battle. Wait, does it? No, it doesn't.
I'd
the
put
Millennium Falcon.
Jango Fett versus Obi-Wan I would put up there.
I was going to say that one.
Probably third.
Battle of Naboo.
I'd put that down there as well because there's just so much weird stuff going on at that time. So I would put it above like Battle of Naboo, and I'd put it above Return of the Jedi. I wouldn't put it above Jango, A New Hope, or Revenge of the Sith.
Okay. That's pretty high. I'm assuming adding the sequels doesn't change any rankings.
Oh, I'm not even thinking about that. That's just trash.
I know. Okay. Okay, that's good. I'll take that. It's definitely up there for me. But wait, what was the point that we were talking about? What your point that we're...
That was, I think we were on a tangent. My next one is the cameos and the references.
The cameos. The only one that really bothers me is Red 5. Because not only that it's a little on the, like you had to show why Luke became Red 5 because clearly the last pilot died, but it had to be like this pudgy Asian guy who's clearly out of his depth. I was like, that's not fair.
It would have been better if it was more subtle. Like, they make a point of saying Red 5 like 3 or 4 times in a row, where it's like, hey, we really want you to know that we're talking about Red 5, whereas if it was just kind of casually mentioned and then you see them die, I think it would not be as bad. But it's like, yeah, they really linger on it a little bit more than they should.
Yeah. Also, the actor is like, he's doing too much. It was like, I feel like they told him, you're going to be Red 5. Like, this is your moment because everyone knows who Red 5 is.
Yeah.
And he gets in the cockpit, just like, I need help. Yeah.
That one did not bother me as much. It was more R2 and Ponda Babu that bothered me more.
I know. That one we've talked about before, and I'm sure we've talked about that on the podcast. So I'll try not to go. I'll try not to beat that dead horse too much. But like Ponda Babu and messed up face guy, the Cantina guys, yeah, those doesn't make a whole lot of sense. I think if I'm really gonna reach here, they were trying to demonstrate how much of a powder keg the city of Jeddah was, and having just met like terrible people there at that time, that they're terrible people. Just kind of like it's showing you how bad things are.
But is it a
Because
powder keg? Isn't it like, shouldn't it be more like, hey, this poor civilization that the Empire is taking advantage of? Like, it's worse if it's a powder keg.
Oh yeah, no, it is worse. It's just, what I'm trying to get is that they don't really show you at all, because like Cassian has a line where he's like, "The city's ready to blow," and it's like they've just been walking around a market and everyone seems fine. um, but yeah, I thought I laughed in the theater, but like it was a good laugh when I saw them. It's like, oh, that's neat. It didn't bother me that much.
There's a time and a place to throw in like a humorous cameo. They just did it at the most awkward times.
Yeah, but I mean, the thing is, I don't think that it was supposed to be humorous. I thought it was like that one specifically. I think my reaction was exactly what they were aiming for. It's just like, oh, it's not actually funny, but it's funny because I know what that is. It's that, which I'm fine with being that guy sometimes, not all the time, because C3PO and R2D2, yes, that one doesn't make sense, and it starts to make you think about like, okay, did they get on the ship right after, because they're supposed to be on the ship?
So even worse than that, they actually announced that the ship is already gone. While like right before you look at C3PO, so it's like, when did they get on? Did they like fly a separate shuttle and catch up?
Did they really say that?
Yeah, because so the ship that I forget what Leia's ship is called in A New Hope.
Tantive 4.
Yes, sorry, the Tantive 4. It comes out of General Radiss's ship. General Radiss is the other Mon Calamari. And
oh yeah,
he's the one who goes
fight
first. So everyone's like,
yeah.
oh, General Radiss is gone. We all have to follow them. And that's when C-3PO comes on as like, where is everyone going? But it's like,
yeah,
you're supposed to be on that ship.
that one is pretty egregious. But like I said, I wasn't defending that one, because that one, that was my second least favorite one. But I mean, beside that, there was like Gold Leader and Red Leader, which I thought was cool.
I didn't mind those. They do mention General Syndulla over the comms on Yavin Base, which is like not the worst because it's just a casual mention.
Yeah.
And then I also consider Krennic and Vader. Like, there's not really any reason for Vader to be in the story other than because he's Vader. So I basically consider Tarkin and Vader egregious cameos.
Yeah, I mean, going back to Tarkin and the whole well, no, we talked about all that already. The Tarkin didn't bother me that much. I think the only thing about those like animated, like when they're trying to do those animated real people, it's their mouths, like their mouths like stretch too much, and like when they're talking, I don't know how to describe it. It's just gonna sound weird if I keep trying to.
But it's like, if you have him as an actual cameo, where it's like he's not saying that much, but they tried to make him into like a regular character.
Yeah.
And so it's like you kept seeing it, and it made it worse that they were trying to do a little bit more.
Yeah. Well, that's fine. And like, or just recast him.
I would have preferred that, yeah.
Yeah. Actually, now
the
that
technology
I think
these days is better. Like, if you brought back the technology that they did with Luke, I'd be like, Luke for Mandalorian, I'd be okay with it because it's gotten a little bit better.
Well, in that case, that's pretty different though, because that's de-aging, right? Like they completely created Tarkin from.
Well, it wasn't Mark Hamill that showed up for the Mandalorian. It was some other actor that they just put his face on.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Oh, then I guess it was better then. It was much better.
Which, by the way, I don't know if you follow this, but like what they told because they were trying to keep it a secret that Luke was going to be the cameo of that season, so they told all the crew that it was going to be Plo Koon, and I would have much preferred it be Plo Koon because that's one of my favorite Jedi. But
but he's dead.
Yes, and he should stay dead. Please don't bring
Yeah.
dead people back.
No one's ever really gone. Yeah. Again, I think like we always I think we can put this to rest finally until Rogue 2 comes out. Because I mean it just keeps going back to like this is what I like and this is what you like.
I like a story. I don't want to have all the extras. I feel like Rogue One has too much extras. I feel like that's how I can sum up like all my complaints. It's like just focus on the story, and Andor focused on the story, and that's why I liked it.
Yeah, I mean, like, I wouldn't go as far to say as there was no story in Rogue One. Like, I see those things. I didn't think they interfered with the story. I think that's where our fundamental disagreement is.
Yeah, for me, they definitely interfered with the story and prevented the storytelling. For you, I think it didn't matter. Like, you could still pause, have something to enjoy, go back to the story.
Yeah. Which we should do some sort of like scientific study about this. That might give us more answers in the future.
I'm sure there's like, I can probably be a hypocrite and find some other story where I completely enjoyed that type of thing and didn't care about the story. But...
Well, I was gonna say, like, when we were on Tracy's podcast talking about the prequels, I feel like some of the things that you like about the prequels, it kind of like goes against your hate for Rogue One.
I will say way. That the prequels is like it's almost like not a movie for me. Like the prequels are an experience of their own because I've watched them like 20 times each. I don't even remember how I felt the first time I watched those.
Yeah, that's fair enough. But I wasn't gonna bark up that tree.
It's maybe an episode for us to do at some point around like, I feel like as a, well, obviously not like an actual movie critic, but as somebody who like cares a lot about movies and has watched a lot about movies, I've definitely noticed that I am becoming more self-aware of how much of a snob I used to be. And I think I'm starting to be a little bit more chill on things. Although, so I was actually fully expecting going into Rogue One being like, I actually enjoyed this a lot more than I used to, and was surprised that I still disliked it as much as I did.
I thought that's what you were getting at when you first like brought it up. So, but I'm also
I had
not
proposed
surprised.
This episode before I had rewatched it, so I was fully expecting that to be the case.
Okay, well, I mean, it's fun. It's fun to have your expectations subverted. Shout out to Rian Johnson.
Which, and sorry to harp on this again, but like, I refuse to believe that Rian Johnson is to blame for The Last Jedi, because a lot of the things that I disliked about Rogue One are the things that I disliked about The Force Awakens, that I disliked about The Last Jedi, about Rise of Skywalker. It just has that Disney boardroom fingerprints all over it. And I refuse to believe that it was just solely Rian Johnson in that one movie when it's the same things that happen in all the other movies.
Well, at risk of going down this rabbit hole again, like your statement would suggest that The Last Jedi was bad. And I don't think it was bad. Okay, let me adjust that. Maybe it was bad. I really liked it.
You could probably edit The Last Jedi down to a good movie.
No, fair.
If you just trim off like 45 minutes of it.
We're not doing this. Any final thoughts about Rogue One or Andor?
No, I'm glad that. So one of the things I've heard is people saying that Tony Gilroy should take over Star Wars. No one likes Dave Filoni anymore, who is like, Dave Filoni is basically the Rebels, Clone Wars, Mandalorian, Ahsoka one. Apparently Tony said he's not going to be interested in Star Wars at all. He's done. And I'm glad. I hope that the lesson that Disney has learned from this is get a good filmmaker, let them tell the story they want to tell without tampering with it too much, and allow there to be different stories in the universe. And I would be very happy if that's what Star Wars continues to be.
Yeah, I agree. I think I mean, not exactly related to what you said, but something you mentioned earlier with um, the next movie with Ryan Gosling.
Hmm.
Um, number one, I hate the title. That's just an aside.
What is the
Um,
title?
I think it's like Starfighter, Star Wars Starfighter, and he's a pilot. Ooh. Um, but yes, I agree. I hope it's not a time like Cassian's son is not Ryan Gosling, and also I do hope it continues in the same vein of like how Andor was, but just as like a pilot, like a Top Gun type pilot drama. That would
Yeah,
be cool.
I'm totally down for that. If they just say, "Hey, we're just going to make this story and we'll do its own thing."
Um, yeah, cool.
All right. Well, that is our episode on Rogue One. A little bit less hatred than I thought there was going to be. I feel like we've learned nothing over 10 years. We still have the same opinions, and I'm okay with that.
We've just expanded on those same opinions.
Yeah. Well, thank you for listening, everyone, and tune in again in a little while when we talk about musical movies, maybe. Bye.
Bye.